Section 2 of Weird Tales Double Feature, The Skull and the Body Master, by Harold Ward. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Ben Tucker. The Skull, Chapter 2. It was past midnight when Kimball awoke from his drunken stupor. For an instant he had no recollection of what had happened. The oil lamp still burned brightly, throwing the figure of the man on the bed in bold relief. Kimball half arose on his tiptoes so as not to awaken Hansen. His foot touched the bow lying on the floor. Then a flood of realization swept over him. He suddenly remembered that he was a murderer. Whether he had killed Hansen intentionally or not, he was unable to recall. Memory had ceased on the second he sprawled forward, his tired brain benumbed with the liquor he had consumed during the evening. He knew that they had quarreled, that Hansen had been more abusive than usual and had cursed him. He stepped across to the bed. A single glance at the bloated face already turning black, at the glassy eyes staring back at him fixedly, told him that his surmise had been correct. The arrow had been dipped in poison. He shuddered as he pushed the remaining arrows which he had taken from Tulagi to the back of the table and poured himself another drink. He must act at once. Donaldson and the scary Saray would arrive within a few days, and Donaldson was no fool, nor was Svensson, his mate. Both of them knew that there was bad blood between the partners, and should one of the houseboys find the body in the morning, it would cause no end of talk among the niggers. Some of them would be certain to talk to Donaldson. The big trader might be able to put two and two together and take his suspicions to the authorities. Reaching up, he pulled down his revolver and, buckling the belt around his waist, tiptoed to the door. The rain was falling in torrents, and the sound of the surf was booming loudly. The sky was split by lightning, while the thunder rolled and grumbled. It was a typical island squall. He knew it would last but a short time. Yet, while it lasted, the blacks would all be under cover, making him safe from spying eyes if he acted at once. But fear of he knew not what, caused him to pull down the shades until not a vestige of light showed at sides or bottom. Then, nerving himself with another pull at the bottle, he turned down the lamp until the room was in semi-darkness. Again he stepped to the door and, holding it open an inch or two, listened. Satisfied, he returned to the bed and picked up the dead form of Hansen and threw it across his shoulder with a mighty effort. He extinguished the lamp with a single puff as he passed the table. Then, feeling his way carefully with his feet lest he strike against some piece of furniture in the darkness, he sought the door. Bending his body against the force of the wind, he gained the steps and dodged around the corner of the house opposite the blacks' quarters. At the edge of the coconut grove, he again paused to listen. Not a sound came from the direction of the black barracks. Presently, beating against the wind, he seesawed through the grove for 1/4 of a mile. Satisfied that he was far enough from the house, he dropped his ghastly burden to the ground and turned back. The storm would obliterate his tracks by morning. With the coming of daylight, he would give the alarm, as if he had just discovered the absence of Hansen. He had gone over the whole thing in his mind as he struggled along. It would be easy enough to foist his story upon the simple-minded blacks. He would tell them that the sick man had gotten up in the night and wandered away. Fevers are common in the islands. So, too, is delirium. And when the body was found with the arrow in the skull, they would believe that their master had fallen victim to some wandering savage. There were 6 runaways, deserters from the plantation, hiding back in the bush, afraid to go into the hills for fear of the ferocious hillmen, and, at the same time, fearful of the punishment certain to be meted out to them should they return to the plantation. One of them would be blamed for Hansen's death. The blacks would vouch for such a story when he told it to Donaldson and Svensson upon their arrival. He had covered a small part of the distance back to the house, his head bent low in thought, when a rustling among the palms at his right caused him to turn suddenly. As he did so, a spear whizzed past his head, embedding itself in the tree beside him. Whirling, he drew his revolver and pumped the clip of shells in the direction from which the spear had been thrown. It was too dark to make for good shooting, and an instant later a flash of lightning showed him a naked figure dodging behind a tree in the distance. Too late, he realized that he had left the house without an extra clip of cartridges. Unarmed, he broke into a run, dodging here and there among the long avenues of trees, until he reached the edge of the grove. The blacks were already tumbling out of their quarters, chattering excitedly. "Ornbury," he snapped at one of the houseboys. "You tell him fellow boy's sick marster. Him run away. Got devil in head. Me go after him. Meet bad black fella. Black fella kill him maybe. You look, you catch him black fella. Plenty kai in the morning. No work. Plenty tobacco. Plenty everything. As Ormbury stepped forward, proud of being singled out from among his fellows, and explained to the latecomers what had happened, Kimball dashed back up the steps and into the house. Returning an instant later with his rifle and bandolier of cartridges, he found the blacks arming themselves with their native weapons, squealing and chattering their glee at the prospect of the manhunt and the holiday to follow in case of their success. In spite of his efforts to maintain some semblance of order, however, assisted by the elated Ormbury, it was nearly daylight when the expedition was ready to start. The rain was nearly over, but a glance showed him that the night's downpour had completely washed out the trail he had made. Dodging here and there among the trees, savagely alert for their hidden enemies, it was almost an hour before the natives had covered the distance that Kimball, loaded down as he had been, had covered in 20 minutes. The body of Hansen lay where he had thrown it, but the head had been hacked off. End of The Skull, Chapter 2.